So here we are with our scene and we're ready to start lighting it. So the first step we need to do is set our renderer. So I'll open the render setup and on the command tab, I'm going to scroll down, find the assign renderer, expand it, and find the V-Ray renderer in production. Once I've got that set up, I'm going to scroll back up and we're going to change the output size for our renderer. Now, we need a small size for the test renders, but it's nice to have a preset already selected because we don't lose the framing when we change the sizes. So I'm going to switch from custom to either one of these presets. Personally, I really like HDTV and VistaVision. For this scene, I'm going to use HDTV. And you can see we have a few size presets here, but you can set any size you like here and you should render in the same proportion. Now, I'm going to select a small size. And when I close this, if I select the scene and I press Shift F, I should have the exact same framing that I will have in my final render. So this is very useful. Once I've got this set up, we are ready to create our first materials. So we're going to create a base material for this scene just so that we can see how the light is behaving. So I'm going to open the material editor and in here I'm going to create a V-Ray material, double click it to open it and rename it. So this is our base material and the only thing we're going to change is the color. Now we want a very light color, but try to avoid using anything that is really close to white because white is going to contribute too much to the lighting of the scene. So when we change to the actual materials, the scene is going to be way too dark. So we have to set a light gray, but nothing too close to white. So I'm going to choose a light gray and I'm going to click OK. And then I'm going to select the whole scene and apply this material we just created. Now, this is fine as it is, but this door right here should be glass material. So when we change to glass material, more light is going to be able to come in. So in order for us to have a perfect preview of how this is going to work, we should apply a glass material right now. So I'm going to create another material. And I'm going to rename this, change the reflectivity and refraction to 100%, and apply this to our door. So, open these groups, and open these groups as well. And I'll just grab the geometry and apply the glass material. Once we've got this done, we are ready to create our first light source. We are going to light this scene with two light sources, one HDR image-based lighting and a sun to help fill in the direct light. So we're going to create the sun first. I'm going to switch to the Create tab, Systems, and in here I'm going to create a daylight. Most people use a direct light in the windows and doors and it's fine, but in my opinion the daylight works better because it's going to change the light color automatically as you change the hours. So for me it works a little better, but you can choose a direct light if you like. I'm going to click daylight, click and drag and pull up to pull the sun. Remember that the sun has to be higher than your highest geometry. If it's not, all you have to do is switch to the Modify panel, go into Setup, and just increase the orbital scale. Okay? Once that's done, we are ready to set the sun. So back to the Modify panel, I'll change the sunlight to V-Ray Sun, and it's going to ask me to create an environment map. We are going to use an HDR as an environment, but just for the sake of the test render, I'm going to click yes. And the skylight, I'm going to use no skylight because V-Ray uses the HDR as the skylight. And I'm going to set up the hour of the day, which I'm going to start with something like 4 in the afternoon. And the position of the sun, which I want something coming in from the doors. I think is going to be interesting. So something like that. And we're ready to do our first test render. Now, in order for our first test render to be quick, let's change a few settings. So open the render setup. And on the V-Ray tab, we're going to change the anti-alias to adaptive, just so it's quicker. And we're going to enable some GI. So I'm going to enable GI, use irradiance map as primary, and light cache as secondary. And we can change the setups to something like low or medium, just so it's quicker. We just want a quick test render. We don't want any trouble. Once that's done, I can select the appropriate view and do a quick test render. There you go. As you can see, the scene is way too light, so we need to control the exposure of this. So I'm going to switch into rendering exposure control, and we're going to set a V-Ray exposure control, but with a higher value. Right now is -1. Let's set it to 2 and see how it looks. All right, looking good. Now we have our primary light coming in and it looks very good. In our next clip, we are going to set an HDR and set all of that to work together. So I'll see you guys then.